this question, we have to implement queue using linked list. For 1, if there is 1, means we are pushing X into the queue, and if 2 means we have to pop the element from the queue. What is queue? Queue is a data structure which is based on first in, first out. Suppose this is queue. One means we have to push into the queue. So 1 means the element behind this 1 we have to push into the queue. Now 1 means push 3 into the queue. We are pushing from backend side. And 2 means pop. Now we have to pop. From where we will pop? From the starting. It is based on first in, first out. Means 2 comes first in the queue. So it will pop first from the queue. Now 1 means push. Which element? 4. We have to push 4 in the queue. Now pop. 2 means pop. So which element will be pop? 3, because it is first one in the queue. So these elements which are popped will come in the output. Now see next example. This is a queue in which 1 means push. So we have to push 2 in the queue. Now 2 means pop. So from where we will pop? From the beginning. So 2 is popped. Now again 2. 2 means pop. So now there is no element in the queue. So we have to written -1. That queue is empty. There is no element in the queue. So how can we pop an element from the queue? Now 1 means push into the queue. So push 3 into the queue. Now let's see the code. We have to create a node, new node. Whatever data we want to push, we have to create the node of it. Now we have to check that self dot has in queue there are 2 pointers. This is head and this is tail. This is head and this is tail. First element we will represent from the head and last we will represent as tail. Suppose queue is empty. So we will initialize, if we insert any element into it, so the head and tail will be the same first element. If there is only one element, if there are many elements, suppose like this, then head will point to this starting element and tail will point to the last element. So why we are keeping these 2 pointers? Because after tail we will push any new element, so we can get the address that after which point we have to insert a new element. And head is for what? To pop the element. Now let's see the code. We will check if self dot head is none. or self dot tail is none. What does it means? If head is null and tail is null, means there is no node in the linked list. So whatever data, whatever node we will insert will be the first node. So if there is only one node in the linked list, it means this node itself is head and this node itself is tail. So if there is self dot head is none and self dot tail is none, it means there is no node and we have to insert a node, and that node we will insert will be the first node. So self dot head is equals to that new node and tail is also that new node. Now if that's not, else from if we want to insert a data here, if we want to insert, then what we will do, self dot tail dot next, and we will assign the data here, new node here, means we are inserting new node at the last and tail pointer is maintaining that, and tail will come here. So self dot tail dot next is equals to new node and self dot tail is equals to self dot tail dot next. Now pop function, if there is nothing, q will be empty, then how can we return anything? We have to return -1. But how we will check that q is empty? If self dot head is none, this means there is no head. It means that q is empty. So if self dot head is none, return -1. Else from where we delete the data, we always pop from the starting. And who maintains the starting index? Head. So we have to store the head data into a variable. Suppose the name of variable is item. So we will store the data in the item variable. Then this self dot head become this, the next of the head, because we want to pop this data. So this is the way to pop the data. So item is equals to self dot head dot data, and then self dot head becomes self dot head dot next, and we will return item in our output. Here we have to declare head and tail also.